right, guys, so we're gonna go into the abdomen here. The liver is on the right upper quadrant of the abdomen. We've already pulled that liver out. So what you're gonna have in the liver here is your inferior vena cava coming out the top of the liver. You have your gallbladder, which is in your in between the lobes of the liver here. Down here, you're gonna have the bile duct and the hepatic arteries that are going into the gallbladder. You can tell it's the bile duct because it's the green opening. Hepatic artery is gonna be that nice big open hole. So that's where the gallbladder is gonna, or the liver is gonna get blood. Right, so one of the things you're gonna be able to orient yourself in the abdomen here is a structure called the mesentery. The mesentery is this loose connective tissue that just folds and covers the lower abdomen and keeps it away from the upper abdomen. So we're just gonna go through the digestive system real quick. So you have your esophagus right here. Esophagus is gonna come down and dive into the diaphragm. On the other side of the diaphragm, that esophagus becomes the stomach. So you have your stomach here. Stomach's gonna curve around and you're gonna have this nice pretty curve right here. The green stain is from the gallbladder, from the bile. That nice pretty curve is called the duodenum. The duodenum is the first step in the small intestine. Underneath the duodenum is your pancreas. This cobblestone looking fella right here is your pancreas. So you have your duodenum, your pancreas, then your jejunum. The jejunum is gonna become your ileum. The majority of your intestine is ileum. This is where the absorption of your food is gonna take place. In this ileum, that's why you have so much of it to get all that surface area. And then ileum goes all over, and then ends up right here. This is the end of the ileum at the cecum. The cecum is the beginning of your large intestine. Now remember from digestive, after you have absorbed all your nutrients, you want to get your water back. And so you're gonna get your water back in your large intestine. So your large intestine, another word for it is the colon. You have the cecum. Right here on the cecum is your appendix. Appendix is a blind pouch on the cecum that's gonna, can get infected and rupture. As we know, we talked about that. Then you have your ascending colon going up. Then the colon is gonna go across the body. You have the transverse colon. Transverse colon goes across the body. And then you have your descending colon, which goes down. Descending colon goes down and then into the rectum. So descending colon down into the rectum. Okay, now this is a female. You know it's a female because after I pull the bladder up out of the way, there's a bladder, pull the bladder up out of the way, you have fallopian tubes and ovaries. There's an ovary, fallopian tube, and then down into the uterus. Now, the cat uterus looks different than a human uterus, you see, because it's so tiny and small. It's called a bifurcate uterus, and the uterus technically extends up into the fallopian tubes, and the pregnancy usually takes place in the fallopian tubes rather than in the uterus for a cat. So you have your uterus, fallopian tubes, ovary on both sides, ovary, fallopian tubes, down to the uterus. Now, I didn't dissect out the kidneys on this side, so let's look at this cat for kidneys. This is a kidney. So we have a kidney on either side. Have a kidney on either side. That kidney's gonna go to the renal artery. Renal artery is gonna go across down to the abdominal aorta. Then you have your ureter, which is gonna go down into your bladder. Ureter goes down into the bladder. This cat's bladder is nice and different than the rest of the cat's bladders, but kidney, ureter, bladder, and not much else I wanna talk about. Actually, on this cat's a male. So you see there's no fallopian tubes, no uterus because we got a male. So we have the scrotum pulled open here. We have testes. Testes, the vas deferens comes off the testes and up inside the body. And then it's gonna come out of the penis, which is in this right here. There's our penis. Vas deferens comes up into the body and then comes out the penis around the inguinal ligament right here. So you have your vas deferens. If you squint, you might be able to make out the epididymis on top of it. It's a little wormy looking guy sitting on top of the testes, all right? All right, so while we're on this cat, let's look at our bisected head here. So you have a head bisection. You have your cerebrum, your cerebellum. Then down here going down into the throat, this is the epididymis. Epididymis is what's going to cover up your trachea, which makes it so when you swallow, food goes down your esophagus and not your windpipe. So nice big tongue, epididymis, cerebrum, cerebellum. Okay. The last cat over here, the main thing we're going to want to look at is the legs and the head. So first off, for the legs, just some general muscles. You have your rectus femoris, biceps femoris, is right here, biceps femoris. And then the gastrocnemius down here is your hamstrings. All right. Look in between here, guys. You're gonna see one of the biggest nerves in the body. If I can pull it out, there it is, the sciatic nerve. Sciatic nerve is one of those nerves that's going to go down and innervate the lower leg, and so you get that big, thick nerve. That's what falls asleep when you sit down for too long, is the sciatic nerve. And here you have your femoral nerve and artery that's coming from up in there. Biceps femoris, rectus femoris. Okay, this is also a male, not dissected out quite as much. You have your scrotum and your penis. You have a coronal section here where we cut off the top of the head. Coronal section. This dissection, the person who did this dissection did a really good job. It has the brain pretty much intact. Cat brain's much smaller than a human brain. You have the cerebrum, you have the cerebellum, and then you have the brain stem down here at the bottom. One of the most interesting things about the coronal section is that we're able to see the sella turcica. The sella turcica is this space right here, and if you could feel it, it feels like a little horse's saddle. And that's what it is the Latin name, sella turcica, for horse's saddle. And this is where your pituitary gland sits in the base of your skull, okay? I probably forgot some things, so I got another dissection I might do by myself as we go forward. But thank you guys for sticking with me, and we'll ask some good questions.